been really difficult, and this is the overlap really between mental health services and the programme that was and is moving forward with building the right support, because part of that process is to hold a teleconference as a last-ditched opportunity to try and avoid admission or discuss admission for people with autism and a learning disability. So how that's been viewed, because quite often those calls come through when somebody in a care team has already identified that risks are really now very, very high. They only happen in the last day of that consideration. So multidisciplinary meetings have happened and care and treatment reviews might have happened. But at this moment in time, people are thinking that the only option is that somebody can go to hospital to be safe. But it gives us one more chance to get a care team together. I think what happens there is quite often we get contacted at the same point at which the Mental Health Act has been triggered, and AMPs, who are responsible for going out and carrying out that assessment for the Mental Health Act, are asked to do that. And the ideal scenario is that we use our local area emergency protocol, which is just a teleconference or a conversation. We use that to inform the AMPs so that they have options available for them of capable environments where somebody can receive support and care for their mental health. So it is never diagnostically challenging anything that a professional is doing. It is very much about setting out some options for where that care and treatment and support could be offered. So that call is supposed to equip the people who are going to make those decisions. It is never supposed to challenge a Mental Health Act assessment, challenge the decision of an AMP or a psychiatrist making those decisions, just to give them enough information to be able to make a choice about whether or not for another night we could try treatment at home, or we could try a respite option, or we could wrap around a person for 24 hours and monitor their all their physical health and everything to see whether that would be better than hospital or not. And if the AMP and the psychiatrist think it wouldn't be, when we've discussed the fact that it could be financially possible, that's the call they'll make. It's also really, really important to say that the layout process is equally there to make sure that if you have mental illness and you require treatment, that there is a very swift move through that process, as in a 2-second conversation really, to say that if you need treatment in a hospital because you have schizophrenia or you have a treatable condition that people have already acknowledged is best treated in hospital, that we will support that and make sure that people don't get denied access to hospital. So just because you've got autism shouldn't mean that that's any more difficult for you to get into hospital and get the treatment you need.
And I think one of the things that's potentially happened historically, and sometimes for children where maybe the Mental Health Act assessment hasn't applied, where actually there could be an option to admit them kind of voluntarily, is thinking about the options that might be available. And a lot of this, particularly within children's, because the kind of process around care education treatment reviews has only been in place for the last couple of years, is raising that awareness around what other options are available to kind of look at community support rather than hospital. And that's been one of the keys really, is about actually how can we potentially support across using a community based approach, because historically sometimes children and young people have been admitted for things that could potentially have been treated within the community if people were aware of the support that could be accessed to support that.
Because it's often been to do with the management of risk as opposed to a treatable, something that needed treatment of a very specific type. And that's how you've brought your admissions down, isn't it? Because we aren't saying people won't get treated, we're saying they'll get treated in a different place and in a different way. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't, and we're always prepared to acknowledge that, the risks are too high and that cannot happen. That it's just an opportunity to see if you can do it differently, that's all.